Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Pure Cringe, the podcast by and for those that are Bravo TV obsessed. My name is Maria McQuaid, and I am here with my dear friend, Michelle Barchikowski. How the fuck are you, Michelle?
I'm fantastic, Maria. I'm with you, although virtually.
Good.
I can't touch you, but
it's a... That all sounds interesting, but you'll be able to touch me in a few days. Don't worry. If you would like to smack me with something, you only have to wait a few days to touch me, Michelle. But You do look, I will say, I always love to comment on how you look. Today, you look a little bit more sporty than normal.
A little sport. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to go work out later.
Yeah, you look, I was going to say, like, you're giving me sporty spice today, whereas normally you're giving me like Velma from Boca.
Right. Well, I decided
to
get out of the caftan. That's the thing.
Hey, listen, we're going to start selling those caftans. It's going to be a thing pretty soon. Look out, everybody. It is so fun for us to do this. I'm so glad that we're doing this together, Michelle, honestly. And I'm so glad that we decided to do a podcast. Hopefully everybody who's listening, including your sister and my mom and my cousins, are cool with that.
We have like maybe a handful of fans now. Can we?
And then somebody who's pissed at us, but it's all good. It's all good. What we're doing today is, I think it's rapidly become my favorite thing that we do on the pod, which is these rewatches of the classic Bravo shows. I'm so excited to be doing Project Runway with you.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a lot of fun. I always like the show.
Yeah, and I did not realize. I mean, it's been on for 20 years.
I know. And Heidi Klum still looks the same. Tell me about that. How?
Yeah,
why?
I don't know. She still looks gorgeous. I'm jelly. We are actually just starting the rewatch, which is kind of cool. We're still in a situation where Michelle and I mentioned this last week, where we've got a lot of folks still in play as contestants on Project Runway, and we're looking at season 1.
Yeah.
So we're on episode 2 today. It's actually called Vision. This was a really, really fun episode. Before we dive in and start the recap, I did want to remind everybody that one of our categories is, a prediction for the next week. So just to remind everybody that what Michelle and I said we were predicting for people to be exited, we're calling this Exit Stage Left. This episode, Michelle, you predicted that it was going to be Alexandra, if I'm doing my Heidi impersonation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I predict and hope, with my fingers and eyes crossed, that it would be Star.
Oh, okay.
And so those are our predictions for today. So we'll see how those play out. So the episode sort of kicks off the day after the first runway show.
I'm sorry, I can't believe I said Alexandra. Looking back, I can't believe that.
You did. You said that because remember she made the brown sock?
Okay. Okay. I needed to read more into this. Yeah.
You were bored by her brown sock?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, honestly, I feel like I still can't get over, Daniel being booted out the first time in God. 2 seasons as well. God bless him.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this first part of the show reminds me a little bit of Real World New York.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because we're in the Atlas apartments and we're seeing everybody kind of wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I even said this last episode. I think this is the part where I realize how unsexy it is, these shows. Like, it's not like I am imagining it where you're a real housewife and you're getting hair and makeup and clothes. I mean, God bless Austin in a kimono, which I love, ironing his own clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're all sharing bedrooms.
I was there. I was there for Austin. I loved it. He's one of those like housewives that probably went to, what was it? There was a funny series, and it was like the mom like used to go to bed with her makeup on, and then when her husband fell asleep, she'd go take the makeup off and curl her hair, and then she'd get up before the husband.
That sounds terrifying.
It was the Miss Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs.
Yes.
Oh,
it was
I've never seen it.
It was the first season, yes, and her mom was married to like a rich doctor. So that's what Austin reminds me of. He's waiting till everybody goes to sleep, and then he undoes himself, and then before everybody else gets up, he does his hair,
he's in his
puts on his makeup, and he puts it in his kimono, which is already ironed, and then he's ironing something else. So
right, and I would love if he was in curlers. That would be the only thing better,
because his hair's done. He's got a little something done to it. So
God bless. He's got these great flip. I was noticing that through the whole episode. He's really got great hair.
He does.
I love his style. And 9 times out of 10, the things that he's wearing, I'm like, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And then we move on from Austin into Jay and Mario's room, where they're talking about Daniel and his exit. Because, of course, it's been a couple of minutes for us, but for them, it was just yesterday. And Daniel just left. So they're making fun of him, of course. They're talking about his jazz hands and how he was and how he was doing guns at his model, at his dress form. And that Jay, who I think is super funny, was saying that Daniel is from Planet Los Angeles.
Yes, Planet LA. Yes.
And then we move to Star, and like, I hate to steal someone's nickname, but for me is the nothing burger with cheese.
Yeah, just
and not even a nothing burger
too. Is there something wrong with her jaw?
I don't know.
The shape of her face. She just always looks like she's
sad,
and just like, she looks so. Her face looks so disfigured because she looks so upset all the time.
She looks like a doll that was marketed as a doll that cries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the
Baby Cry-a-Lot. Yeah,
baby, Baby Cry-a-Lot. Yeah, and what's funny is we're saying this, and Star is actually in the fetal position on the bed.
Yep. Yeah.
And we see her little sort of flashbacks, or excuse me, her confessionals, and she's basically saying that she's stunned that she's still there.
Yeah.
And literally, very rarely do I talk to the television, but I was like, yes, me too. I have no idea. And I will say, we talked about this last week because I think maybe I was confused. She is not a law student. It says she's not just a lawyer. She's a corporate lawyer.
Yeah. Which
what?
That confuses me. First of all, is she old enough to be a corporate lawyer?
I just don't see Baby Cries-a-Lot and a corporate lawyer as the same person.
No.
So I'd like to think that Star is someone much more powerful and empowered in herself when she's away from Project Runway. I think Project Runway is not a good experience for her if it's making her Baby Cries-a-Lot.
Right.
Because she's got to be competent if she's a corporate lawyer.
One would think.
Yeah.
One would think.
I did want to go back to Austin because have you noticed he has like kind of a cute accent?
Yeah, he does.
He has an affect, maybe not an accent, but an affect.
Yeah.
When he speaks, he has kind of, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what the affect is, but it's like, it's aristocratic in a way. And he does a thing with his chin where he puts his chin up and he kind of shakes his hair a little bit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love Austin.
He's got a good shtick, right? I mean, he does. He's
been practicing this and I love it. Yeah. He's very committed to his shtick. Mm-hmm. And so we go to Parsons and, we head to the runway with Heidi and she tells us the challenges about vision. Mm-hmm. And then each of them will each get a bolt of white cotton fabric. Mm-hmm. I have to be honest, when I think of like a plain white cotton fabric, I don't think that is necessarily visionary. And the word that they're going by, their thematic word is envy.
Envy. And I was very curious to see how they were going to interpret this.
I just kept thinking to myself, everyone's going to make a green dress. Like everybody makes a green sequin dress. Cool, I'll buy it.
I'm going to make a $1 bill green sequin dress.
Right? I'm going to be super literal. And then they bring out the models. And then this is where we're reminded again about the fact that this is another, not just an elimination competition for the designers, but for the models.
And I totally forgot about that when they brought out the models. Yeah. And then I was feeling really bad for the models because they just get stared at and picked.
It is. Yeah. It's a little bit, I was going to say to you, it felt, I mean, I don't mean to, because obviously we love the show. We're watching the show, but it felt a little meat markety.
Yeah. But I think that's what
that's what models are.
Yeah.
And I think they're used to it. I think that's why they feel, to them, the idea of, they're used to being treated that way, whether to us that's good or bad. I think that for their industry,
yep.
To your point, that's the norm. But it was funny to me because Kara-san, who I really like, she says that all the designers want the same 3 models.
Yes.
And nobody wants Morgan.
No, nobody wants Morgan. Morgan, whose mother didn't wake her up.
And then I love that we keep going back to that flashback from Tim, Michelle.
Really bad.
This is really bad.
Yeah.
And I love it too, because when I watched it, I realized he is so composed. His body never moves.
No.
Never. It all just happens in his face.
Yeah.
So he was like, this is really bad.
And he just like swans about the room and like talks to people. And he's just like this, his head turns a little bit and his mouth moves, but that's
yes, he has like micro movements. He's just so poised. I loved him, Gunn. But yes, so Karasan says that the same three models. So the models are, and I wouldn't have picked these three probably, by the way, Martinique, Olga, and Melissa. And then so Heidi explains now the model competition to us, and you and I are both like, oh wow, we had no idea. So Austin picks first because he won, and he chooses Martinique. What I think is interesting
Martinique.
Yes, Martinique.
Yes.
They really open up the level of drama here. Like they're starting to like recognize that there's like that push and pull between like people.
Yeah.
And so every person who gets picked in between, who do they show? Morgan.
Yeah.
Like kind of squirming awkwardly on the runway, right?
Yeah,
like
looking really sad, dejected.
And then she says, I don't think people are going to pick me because they're going to think I'm hard to work with. Really? I'm so stunned by that.
Yeah.
So then I honestly couldn't remember what happened here. I feel like I have not seen the season at all. So Vanessa picks Morgan for her walk and says that she doesn't give a shit whether or not she's late. She only needs her for 2 minutes. And then someone named Mary is out. And my first comment was she in? These people are like, I can't care about the models.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Vanessa liked Morgan. She liked her walk, right?
Yeah, she said she has a great strong. She goes, I'm going to pick my great strong walker.
Yeah.
And I love Vanessa, so I'm willing to let her get away with that.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. I really am, because I thought that was a big fuck up on Morgan's part. And I don't know. I mean, maybe because like we said, we don't see a lot of the walk. Maybe we're just not getting it.
Yeah.
But so Mary is out. We have our little 2-minute cry fest with the girls in the back. And then everybody heads into the workroom at Parsons with Tim Gunn and a buttload of cotton jersey draped all over the room. What the fuck is that about? So then I walked in, I was like, oh. So they cleaned those before they put that white cotton on there?
Right. Now they dragged it all over
the
floor and the
Jesus
the
Christ.
Yeah. Okay.
And then some lady named Linda DeFranco and I wrote from Cotton, but she's like a forecaster. She was like a trend forecaster from Cotton. Yeah. And she talks to them about being able to transform the material. What were your thoughts on it? Do you think that it's easy to transform plain cotton? I mean, you would know maybe more about this than me.
Well, first of all, it's cotton jersey, whatever the fuck that means, but it's got a little stretch to it. Cotton jersey.
I need a little stretch, kid.
It's not like cotton sheet percale, like percale sheets. It's cotton jersey, so it's got.
See, Michelle does know more about this stuff because she's saying words that I like. Jersey, I know, but percale I have seen written, but I've never heard anyone say that word. Also, like the word golly.
Golly gee.
Yeah, like I've seen it written, but I've never heard someone say it in conversations. But I've never heard percale. So you know the difference between all these fabrics.
Well, percale would be like stiff sheets. You know what I'm saying? Like the smooth cotton sheets. And then, so because they specified, because I was thinking, what the fuck are they going to do with like, this is what I was thinking. It was going to be like stiff sheet cotton. I was like, what in the world are they going to make with this? Are they going to ruffle it or
Mario will drape it in one swoop.
One felt
tie it with a safety pin and then go and do lines in the corner.
Yeah, so it was a stretchy. It was a little bit of a cotton with a little bit of a give, more like a t-shirt. So, and a trend forecaster, that just sounds like a really sort of early aughts. The economy is really doing well. I'm a fashion trend forecaster. I don't know.
It sounds superfluous, but also yummy, right? Yeah. Like you can tell that she makes a buttload of money. And she starts talking about dyeing the fabric. I was dying to ask you this. Have you ever used that like RIT dye and dyed anything?
Yeah.
Talk about that. How hard was it to do? Was it super messy? To me, it looks like I would ruin my entire house.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've done it like in the washing machine, like my own home washing machine.
Oh shit, you put it in the washing machine?
Yeah, I've not done so. Right now I have a front loader. It wouldn't work. But if you have like a top loader and it can soak, that's really good. But so these guys just had like big plastic bins and they had to soak the material and it's messy. Vanessa didn't wear gloves and she got a purple hand. She's like Barney.
I'd be so bad at this.
And then they had to go to like the bathroom and rinse it out. I mean, there's a lot of work. It was hours to dye the fucking stuff. That's all I can say.
Well, I will say that it made me think that like I do want to maybe consider going and getting like, maybe something thrifted or funky and interesting that's maybe not a color I like, and maybe dyeing it. Yeah, but I hadn't even really thought of that. It's interesting. So when Linda DeFranco leaves, that's when my least favorite person on the television show
Mm-hmm.
starts organizing everyone.
I wanted
Wendy
to just
Pepper.
fucking smack her, and she was trying to like limit people to the amount of yards, but then she says that she needs all she can get. Like, shut the
I
fuck
can't
up.
believe it's funny because they're all like, "Oh, she's a den mother." I'm like, "Are these?" And then I realized, yeah, they're kids. They believe her. And
Yeah,
then we have that confessional where, oh God, she says that everything that she does is strategic,
yeah,
and if she can exploit her role as a mom to them, she will,
yeah.
because she doesn't get a lot of opportunities in her small town in Virginia.
So I would have hated her even if I was that young. Well, I'll just say
Yeah.
that I would have seen through her shit, and I don't trust anybody. I don't think I ever did. There you go.
Well, yeah, and I don't think you would ever trust anybody who was like trying to mother you when I mean, it's not like she's our age in her like mid 50s and is hanging out with people in their 20s where you can see kind of a maternal thing. But I
Yeah,
mean, these are people that she's what, 15 years older than?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and
Like,
most of them not that much of an age difference.
yeah, exactly. I mean, right, because like, because of course I've been thinking about my mother. She was
Yeah.
round and she was a good cook and she was
Yeah.
huggable and she was a
Yeah.
lot older.
Right. I mean, my mom is, 35 years older than I am. So it's interesting that they buy it.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they all fall for it. And she says that she doesn't care. She'll do whatever she has to.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate that she isn't obviously removed right away because she's just gross.
Yeah, she is.
Um, Tim actually brings them to a trimming store.
Hmm. Which I
This
love.
place looks, yes, this place
Yeah.
looks so fun. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, but I need more than $50, Tim. He gives them each $50 to shop.
Well, this was 20 years ago.
True.
$50, you could get a lot in that store for $50, and they do.
They do. They buy all kinds of stuff. They buy braiding, they buy dye. The store just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when we start to see the shift. And, you know, we talked about this a little bit right before we started recording, the idea that, it's hard to follow all these people, but once it starts getting smaller, I think it's going to be easier to follow them. And also it will get more fun because people will get much more competitive.
Yep.
And so that's what Vanessa says. So people, a weird thing happens, and I got to say, this guy is probably my second least favorite person, which is Kevin,
Uh-huh.
who thinks that Jay stole his dye.
So first of all, I love Jay. Again, he's like the
Yes,
South Park Kenny,
he's
right?
Cartman.
Yeah, Cartman Kenny. I just love him. He's got his stupid sunglasses, and sometimes he blows his hair out, and yeah, Kevin is just he can go anytime.
I didn't take the bitch's dye. That's what
Yeah,
Jay
he's
said. I
he's
love that.
filler. He's filler.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin turns into like Gollum about it. He's like, "Where's my precious dye?" Did you ever see the Caine Mutiny with Humphrey Bogart?
No.
Oh, you have to. So it's incredibly famous. He plays this naval captain who kind of has a nervous breakdown
Uh-huh.
during the um, a voyage, and he's obsessing about strawberries,
Oh, I have
and
seen this. Yes. Yep.
and it's like strawberry
Yeah.
ice cream, and
Uh-huh.
like how much there was, and like there's a mutiny because they realize that he has had a break.
Yep.
That's what I feel like, because we have all these like frantic shots of Kevin where he's like going in and out of rooms looking for shit. It's just weird to me that, like, especially on a show like that you would actually overtly accuse someone.
Yeah. But it was also interesting that they even gave it like that much attention.
Because but it obviously pissed Jay off. I think that's why, because he had a lot to say about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't well, maybe it's a foreshadowing that,
Oh, maybe
yeah.
that something will happen. Oh, that's a good idea. Wendy actually finds it, and then Kevin tries to apologize, and Jay's like, "Fuck that bitch."
Yeah.
And then Vanessa, who I love, like I said, personally, I think she's really adorable. Love to hang out with her. I don't know about this deal. She's making a maternity gown, excuse me, pregnancy envy. Why?
Oh, because there are women who
Why?
want to get pregnant and they can't, and so they're envious. And it is a thing that happens.
Oh,
Yeah, like I remember I had a friend who had
it's making me
she
cringe, cringe, cringe.
she had like many miscarriages, and then
Mm,
she had like a stillbirth. Do you know what I mean? And then, and you know, which is like the last thing I ever want to wish on anybody. And then, you know,
sure.
then you see somebody else who, you know, like I never had a problem getting pregnant as old as I was. I was old as fuck, and it was not a problem. And
Michelle was 72 when
yeah,
she had her last child.
and I had like, you know, I mean, well, there's issues with birth all the time, but the, you know, it was, everything was relatively fine. So,
Yeah.
you know, so no, and then you've got somebody who like suffers a lot to try to get pregnant. I know it's hard for you to believe at some point. Sometimes you just say like, I want that baby. I don't know why, but
Yeah. I know it's so hard for me. I keep saying why in that way, guys, because I have never once had pregnancy envy. I have envied babies. Like somebody's had like a cute baby, and I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't mind squishing that baby permanently.
uh-huh.
But I don't think I've ever been like, I would like to have it inside my body.
Well, I think people forget about that because it is really hard to be pregnant. You see a pregnant
Yeah.
woman, and this is really funny. So, Brian and I were having a conversation recently about pregnancy, and I was like, you know, I didn't. I felt very public and out there being pregnant because, like, you looked at me and everybody knew what I was doing, or you'd look at us and you know you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the pregnant couple, and I was like, I just felt like very I just felt like very exposed. And Brian
Yeah.
goes, well, so what, Michelle? So they know that like for once we didn't do anal.
But it's true though, right? It's true. He's so great. Brian's the best. Yeah, I mean, it's so true though, right? Like you do feel like because that's what we like. Sometimes I'll see like someone who's like hugely pregnant, or if like I've had family members who are just like who during their time were constantly pregnant, and I'm like, Jesus, get off of her.
I know, right? Could
Get
you give her a
off
break?
of her.
Yeah.
But I forget, it's like you forget that like it's that it's not like 1920.
Yeah.
And but it's the truth. I feel like, to your point, pregnant women are super exposed with their bellies because everybody wants to touch them, which I think is,
Yeah. And everybody wants to talk to you
ugh,
about your pregnancy or give you some advice
oh God.
or, you know, so
God
yeah.
bless her. Yeah, Vanessa. I thought that was a strange choice, but now that you're explaining, this is what always happens on the pod, by the way, and I'm sure everybody knows this. If anybody has listened at all, the entire podcast is me going, "Why?" and then Michelle explaining it. That's literally the whole podcast. Um, explaining it in a way that I obviously should have understood it from the beginning. Austin says he wants to do the evil queen from Snow White,
Hmm.
which I thought was cool.
Yeah. He's so
Nor
cute.
He
Yeah.
really is. I want to hang out with him too. Nora wants to do cutouts on certain parts of the body.
Yep. I thought
And
that
then,
was a fun idea.
yeah. And then Jay's, I really thought was fun too, but I guess this is also because I think my style was distilled during this time, the sort of the jumpsuit with the words on it.
And you know what? He just said jumpsuit, and I just thought, oh God, I hate jumpsuits so
I
much.
know. Oh, I could
Yeah,
never wear these things. These are never things that I could wear in real life.
never.
No.
Maybe I could when I was 12.
Yeah, yeah. So then we have Nora telling Wendy that she is envious of her. I feel like envy, like as much as I don't like Wendy, truly, she
Hmm.
is so getting the villain edit already on the second
Already.
episode.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like heavy duty villain edit.
They don't
Um,
like her. Production doesn't like her.
yeah, clearly. Mario does the same thing he did last week, which is he makes what looks like to me like a very basic garment and goes home early. What were
Hmm.
your thoughts on his stuff? Sam?
You know, he looks like really, he looks like he like takes a shower but doesn't wash. He's sort of got this like really dusty looking thing to him. He's just kind of like,
He has a fine layer of grease.
he's a fine layer of grease all over him, and he's just out smoking, busy smoking, and yeah, and he just left like, you know, like 4 hours early. Everybody's still like flipping out, and he just, and then was it Nora says like whatever it was he did, that's one of the first things you learned in fashion school
Yeah.
was to do that particular rap. So yeah, so I don't know. It's and he's like, and I'm unapologetic. I'm unapologetic.
Yeah. It's this sort of cocky attitude from him. I really wish he had the chops
Yeah,
to
but he
back it up,
doesn't. Yeah.
because I would love to see him like win every single one and be like, fuck it, I did it in 10 minutes. That's how good I am. But he just, you can tell this one, you can tell is super basic.
Yeah.
So we have our favorite part of the episode, which is always like Tim Gunn visiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes in completely erect, posture perfect. And he actually comes over and he starts talking to them about their designs, and he asks them, what's the envy piece? Like, what's the connection? And so Kara-san starts talking about how her father was in the Air Force and that she believed that envy ultimately turned into war and fighting in war.
Yes, because people are envious of what other people have, and so that's how you start wars.
Yeah.
Should I know her from somewhere else? Is she like has she been on another show, or
Not
she
that I know
famous in
of.
some other way?
Not that I know of. No, she's, I think also too, because she's a little bit older. I want to say she was in her late 30s.
Yeah.
Where she's a little bit more articulate and a little bit more, because I think she's also too, because she's been in the fashion industry for so long, she's able to talk about her designs in a way that like Mario can't.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like even if I'm like rolling my eyes at her premises, I feel like she's articulating them in a way, because like, you know, she's making costumes all the time. She's turning feelings and thoughts and emotions into someone's clothes. I feel like this was almost a reverse engineer for her.
Yeah.
So she's I really like her stuff.
Yeah.
I really like her stuff. It's really funny in the sewing room. You can feel like the pressure is obvious when they go into the room with all the sewing machines.
And they're like all in a group, and you have to like sit and listen to somebody else sew and like watch what they're doing and then judge if you're doing something worthy or not. Like that would really stress me out. Yeah.
And then they start to hurt themselves.
I know. Yeah.
which confirms, by the way, in PS, the reason that I have never touched a sewing machine, that I won't learn how to sew. My friend Megan is she's actually a really talented, she can make anything, but she makes clothes, she can make quilts. She's super cool and super talented. And I've always thought to myself, if I ever wanted to learn quilting, this is the person that I would ask.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of even going near a sewing machine.
Really?
Yeah, because I think I would be Austin. I think I would sew right through my hand.
Oh, yeah, that was really upsetting, you know. And then I thought of like something like, even if you just nicked your finger, now you got to put a band-aid on that finger. And now that's going to sort of ruin like the sort of tactile process
of the sewing, right?
Or of the material of you know, of moving things around. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be honest, the sewing room, like that, just even watching them, I really can't. Between the fact that, and they're rushing, that's what it is too.
Yeah, they're rushing.
Is that they feel the time pressure and they're rushing. So after they've all sacrificed themselves to the god of the sewing machine, they all go back home to Atlas, and it's 1 a.m. And our least favorite person is doing laundry, Wendy.
Yeah.
So Vanessa comes in and says she's not really enjoying challenges. I think she's just trying to make conversation.
Yeah.
With Wendy.
Yeah.
And then
Wendy just gets weird and bitchy, and
it was just very strange. So it felt like either Wendy just like flipped a switch, or there was like sentences in there that we missed.
Yeah.
Because Wendy then asks her if she wishes that she hadn't come.
Yep.
And then Vanessa, and between that and what Vanessa says is where I think that they were missing sentences, because Vanessa says, "Don't interview me for the camera."
Yeah, I think there is some stuff missing, but I also think Vanessa probably knows what Wendy was up to, don't you think?
So do you think that she was setting her up to talk about that on camera?
Yeah.
With that question, and set her up to leave?
Yeah, because then it goes into like a little talking head section with Wendy about how she's trying to get people to expose their weaknesses so she can use it against them.
Can I tell you, I wrote it down word for word because I thought it was so terrifying that I wanted to like read it out loud.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Because I thought she said it and I went, the fuck? And I rewound it and I literally wrote it down. So she says, quote, "I have been unfolding a strategy. Mm-hmm. I was going to get people to confide in me, and I would be there for them if they were in a weak spot." And so she is basically looking for anything that she can use later. And so she realizes, to your point, that Vanessa doesn't want to play this game. Mm-hmm. Vanessa realizes and is on to her. By the way, I'm too stupid. I would have answered the question. Wendy whines to Vanessa and then gets her to apologize.
Yeah.
Wendy turns the whole thing around on
Yep.
Vanessa
Yep.
and gets Vanessa to apologize to her.
Yep.
She's brilliant.
She's brilliant. How about she though just tries to do the
She's
work?
she's an evil genius.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the kind of person who has spent more time unfolding their strategy
Yeah.
than actually unfolding a beautiful design for their clothes.
Yeah. She kind of puts the cart before the horse, or not even before the horse, next to the horse, adjacent to.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
she's yeah, but she's here comes the hand rub, the evil genius,
Right.
evil genius hand rub. Yeah, that's what she
Yeah.
is. She's, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so if she's the brain, in contrast, in apartment 39C is Pinky, which is Austin. He and Robert, excuse me, that was wow, that was a really
I
Boston
love
Robert.
this. I love this there.
Yeah, I do too. In face masks
I
at the
and
kitchen
you
table.
know I fucking love Robert, right? And
Me too.
he's just there for it, like to do a face mask with
Yes.
Austin. So I
Yep.
love it. I love
20
it.
years ago. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it was cool.
And
And
then they
they're
do
at,
this miming thing.
oh my God, that was so cute. I feel like they're like forming a real friendship. It
Yeah.
was so funny to me because I really did. I thought, and I really wrote in contrast because we have, you know, Wendy trying to like manipulate and succeeding, by the way, in
Mm-hmm.
manipulating Vanessa. And next door, we have these two people who are like bonding and forming a real friendship.
But what a thing that I don't like about that though is, and I think it's such an easy trope to make women evil,
Yeah.
and that kind of frustrates me because, and again, in Robert, he always smiles and he is generally always very happy, so he is easy to put in that, you know,
Yep.
he probably just goes with the flow, and that's how he gets along in life. Is he just is he enjoys living and he takes advantage of it. So that's the only thing I didn't like about that is and I think I don't like that anyway with reality TV when they really set up like the person who's evil, because I feel like we're not really getting the whole story. We're getting like what production sees as a good sideline story or theme.
Yes. And it's interesting. Yes. And because I feel like that happens a lot on Housewives.
Yes.
We see that a ton. And then the husbands are like, I don't know what, they're acting really cool and acting like they
Uh-huh.
don't care.
Yeah.
And so it does tend to make women appear like hysterical. The only reason why I would sort of push back a little bit on this is because Wendy is so obvious
Oh yeah.
in her strategy.
Yeah.
And she's saying it right to the camera.
Yeah.
She's saying, I'm putting myself in a position to exploit my role as a mother, to manipulate people. I will use whatever I can to my advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like she's demanded an evil villain edit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
In this one case, I think in this one case, but I think you're right. I think 9 times out of 10, that is something that production creates.
Yeah.
But I think they are certainly amping her up.
They are.
They are really amping it up. So now we go to runway day, which is always, I think, the most exciting because it's the most frenetic.
Yeah.
Star is gluing and is pressed for time. The dress is
I don't know.
horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then we get
It's got
Tim
like
again.
warts on it or something.
God bless. I again, like this is just I'll probably say this multiple times throughout the next, however long it takes us to get through the series. I can't sew. I'm not a designer, but just some of the garments just look. It makes me think there had to be nobody else who auditioned for the show, even though we saw other people. I don't know. I just feel like bring that guy with the toga back.
Right. Right.
Where's the fucking guy who sold stuff out of his trunk?
Yeah.
Bring that guy back. Where's that guy? So like he was cute. So Tim asked them to bring their garments and meet him outside, and he puts them in a van.
Mm-hmm. And they're like,
to be
holy shit,
trafficked.
we thought we had 2 hours, right? So, which is unfair because they've only had an hour to start working. And so they're thinking they're going to make the finishing touches. But
Exactly.
boom, get your stuff, strip
Yep.
your model and get in the van, right?
Make it happen, kids. So they go into this place called 30 Van Dam, and it's a retail store for emerging designers. Seems pretty cool. So here's their challenge. The real challenge is to sell your vision. And so the owner's name is Paul Berman. He looks about 5. And he explains the whole concept behind it. There's a silent auction, and that some of New York's most fashionable people will be there, and they're going to view and bid on their designs. And so it's up to the designers to connect with people, right? And so Tim then says that they'll learn who got the highest bids at the runway show. And so the designer with the highest bid will win the challenge, and the runway show will decide who is out. So the designers are freaking the fuck out, as I would.
Yep. Oh my God, yeah.
At the idea of having to sell their designs, which, to your point, some of them aren't finished.
Yeah.
So Jay is dressed as Jesus, and he says he wants to freak out the ladies in twin sets with his look.
Yep.
And so
I thought he looked cute. I liked his hair. He had a nice blowout. I
think he's adorable. I think that Jay he exemplifies the attitude of just believing in what you're wearing.
Yeah.
And that becomes cool. He really does exemplify that. I like everything he wears. So Heidi stops by and she opens the store, and it's a 90-minute auction. So we both wish that we were the lady that Rob was heavily flirting with.
Yeah. How can you just not love him though? He just smiles and he just exudes like
he's got charisma. He's got charisma.
Yeah, he's got charisma. Yeah, he really does. He really does. I mean, I don't know how you can't not. And then he like sort of teams up with Alexandra, and they're because they're both really good looking, so they got their thing, right? Yeah.
I just feel like I would buy whatever he was selling. I don't care what it is. Yeah. And then Wendy is alone because she's Wendy and she brought her personality with her.
Yeah.
And she is experiencing envy in real life at that point.
Yeah. She's looking like a nervous wreck. She
ages about 12 years during that 90 minutes. And I can only imagine what that must have felt like. So, and then we have Star. God, Baby Cries-a-Lot is awkward. I know you guys are shocked. You know what she looks like? Olive Oil's daughter. So,
oh yeah.
Olive Oil Jr. is, talking to a customer about the tumors that are on her dress.
Yeah. And they're like, tumors, that person gets really turned off. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, have you ever seen someone just like their whole face just crumple? And then we see Jesus, aka Jay, who's lonely. No one really looks at his garment, which where he is and the people who are there, that's not the crowd, really, is it?
No,
it's not the crowd. So the auction ends, and then Tim Gunn takes the box back to Parsons. Do you have any guesses, Michelle? When you were watching it, were you like, oh, I know it's going to be this person. I know it's going to be this person.
Totally.
Yeah. I of course am always wrong. So
Who did you guess?
I of course am always wrong. I really thought Robert was going to win. Because I like.
Just because you like him.
Just because we want to fuck him, Michelle. I thought maybe that he'd win. I don't know why. I don't think that's a problem. I'm sure there are some folks. Hey, listen, you guys, if anybody who's listening also thinks that Robert is sexy, please drop a comment on our Facebook.
Well, I went and looked him up to see what he's doing now, and I was on his Instagram page.
Michelle is now stalking him on Instagram, you guys.
He's still really tan.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
He's handsome all day. I just adore him. I actually forgot to mention the fact that when we first opened the show, he's doing that exercise with the rolly wheel thing in his apartment. That's, I think, for your abs.
Oh, for your abs, the ab roller. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, of course he's doing that for the camera. Love you, Robert. Love you. Thank you, Robert.
Do more.
I was going to say, I'm like,
take everything off and do that, please.
I was going to say, what's happening next week? I can't wait. So now we get to the runway show, and everybody goes into hair and makeup, which again, I love to watch. And the more we get into the show, if I remember correctly, the more we're going to dive a little bit deeply into hair and makeup when it's, 5, 6, 7 contestants.
Yeah, which I am excited to see because this just flies by too quickly.
It all moves so quickly.
Yeah.
So Heidi meets them on the runway and again looks meh for me. I mean, I think she's stunning, but in life.
No, she looked terrible in that out, and that was a very stylish outfit at that time. But like the t-shirt like down to your hips with the yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Do better, please. So judges for today were Nina Garcia, Paul Berman, and Constance White, who is the style director for eBay
fashion journalist.
Groovy, right?
You know who the Paul Berman guy is? Have you seen Flight of the Conchords?
Yes.
Jamae? Yeah, doesn't he look like Jamae?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Paul Berman.
He's cute.
Do you think he's from New Zealand?
Oh, he could be. We'll have to look him up
Paul Berman. But
Probably.
I can't do the New Zealand accent, but I do.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, a little
All
bit
right.
Maori there. Yeah.
A widow, a widow. All right, let's start the show. So
All right, Nina. Or is that Heidi?
it's Heidi. Let's start the show. So first is Robert, and it's like this brown and orange menswear inspired set.
It was really sexy. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was sexy like Robert and brown like Robert.
Yes. Yes. I was surprised that he could make these colors, which normally I would be like, do not fucking put those
No, they
colors
look
together.
good. They look
They
good.
looked great. Like he has a way of, you know what it is? I think because you could tell he really likes women
Uh-huh.
because he has a way of making women look sexy.
Yeah.
I like his work.
Which is
Um,
like kind of like you have to be that way if you want to be in this industry. You're not in it to make them look ugly.
yeah, or to just get your own perspective across. I think
Yeah.
that's important to recognize too. And then we have Kevin, who apparently his model was giving me leg envy. So it was like a short,
Stupid.
stupid
Stupid.
dress
Stupid
with this
balloon
like
dress. Yeah.
with this insanely small pink hat.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wendy, who's like was a Mardi Gras mask, and it looked like she was pooping braids. And then Wendy's makeup was like
Wendy's makeup,
nuts.
please. Let's just take a moment. Her own makeup
Why,
with the
Michelle?
glasses over it. I don't
She
know.
who was Ruth Gordon? I feel like she looks like Ruth Gordon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And she's just, I don't know why. She looks like a woman who is having a mental breakdown. Were you ever a fan of the Canadian show Kids in the Hall?
Yes.
Do you ever remember the skit? They had these, it was Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald, and they play these two clearly insane people
Mm-hmm.
in pajamas, but
Uh-huh.
wearing long women's wigs.
Yep.
And they both call themselves Jerry Sizzler.
Yep.
Because they'll be like, I'm Jerry Sizzler, and here's my sister, Jerry Sizzler. And they have lipstick on, but they like smeared the lipstick
Yep.
and they have like, and they're smeared. Every time I see Wendy, I'm like, Jerry Sizzler.
That is such the quintessential Gen X show.
Oh, Kids in the
That
Hall. If you are
that
not a Gen Xer and have never, or if you are a
that
Gen
and if
Xer
you
and
don't
haven't
know
seen
who
that,
a fly girl are, then
yeah, get your shit together.
Yep.
But yeah, so there was something about her look that made me think of that. Like she looked like
Sizzler.
she had looked like she had broken out of a mental institution while in the midst of putting her makeup on.
She's like, and I got some green eye stuff.
Yeah, I just like, and I'm just gonna slap it on there.
Yeah.
And so then Jay's was kind of a ripped and printed shirt and leggings situation,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, it was looked wearable ish. I like Jay, so I'm a little bit. I'm trying not to be obviously biased. Austin's was cool too. So purple green kind of Maleficent dress. He says he worked with the model on her walk to
Yeah,
like get
she
it
had
to
a good
be.
walk. Yep.
Yeah, it was like an experience. It was pretty cool.
How did he do the tie-dye heart though in the middle? That's what I want to know about.
He may have bleached it.
Yeah.
May have used bleach
He
and like
knows
or different
things.
dyes.
Yeah.
He's a really smart kid.
Yeah.
I think he's got some stuff in his bag of tricks.
Yep.
So then we go to Karasan, who we both love.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, as soon as the girl came out, I instantly was like, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B.
Mm-hmm.
Like so cute. Top is sheer. I don't think it's especially wearable, I have to be honest. I think it's cool to look at, but I don't know if a lot of people would wear it. But I thought it was one of my favorites.
You
What did you
wouldn't
think?
line up to get that on? I might fit my leg in it, maybe.
Even if I had the figure, I don't know that I would pick that thing,
Yeah.
but I really liked it. And then Vanessa Morgan is like stomping with like a pillow.
It's a really terrible pregnant belly that she did. It was
And then
lumpy.
I
Pregnant
was just
bellies
gonna
don't get lumpy.
say,
Yeah.
and like it was like this just very purple, boring dress. And then Nora, like who designs for the Handmaid's Tale now, probably.
Yeah. Under his eye, yes.
I don't know why. Why though?
It was a good idea. It wasn't executed so well. And she's going on about how she thinks it's good enough where it could be considered, for first place or yeah,
You
she's
know,
a little delusional.
I'm wondering about Nora because she's 21
Yeah.
and it says she is a recent graduate of fashion school.
Yeah.
Mario is 23 and it says he's a recent graduate of fashion school. And so I'm wondering if she graduated early and so she thinks she's kind of a wunderkind.
Maybe.
And so if she feels like, because everything she says, she feels a little deluded to me. She has a little delulu
Yeah.
about the level of achievement
Yeah.
in
Well,
her own work.
that is that is part of how you have to like push yourself. You got to sell yourself.
Yeah, but like I feel like she thinks it's, I don't
It's
know. I
too
feel like
delulu for you. Yeah.
it's too delulu for moo. Yeah, I don't. There's something about the way that she's talking about her work that
Hmm.
makes me think that she's been told that she's been excellent her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and that she's like expecting it. And then we get to Alexandra. So this is actually my favorite one.
It was really beautiful. It was stunning.
I thought this was like I literally when the girl came out, I just went like I just thought it was so beautiful.
Yeah. Although it
And
looked like a Taylor Swift kind of thing, I got to say. It looking back
well,
now, yeah.
thinking of it this way, Taylor Swift was 15 when this came
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
So Taylor Swift may have her own stylist may have gone back and been influenced by our girl
Yeah.
Alexandra.
No, was she
Uh,
supposed to be Venus? Was that her thing?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, she looked great.
I have to say I thought it was so cruel. I don't know if this is the real order that they come out on the runway or if they're moved around for
I
production.
wonder. Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because I thought that Alexandra's was so beautiful. And then it was followed by like a slick, like a dick in the face, like star, like a dick in the face if it were clothes. If a pinup girl were drawn by a child, that's would be Star's outfit, I feel like.
Okay.
Even the model looks bored. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts about this one?
She looked bored. I can see that she had a vision because she had these kind of sequin veins things going on. So she had an idea, but I think as they explained to her, if you're going to take something that's so ugly, you have to make it beautiful. You have to find a way to, right? So there's a way that she could have made like beautiful flowers on the shoulder, instead of like a wart,
I
right?
just, yeah, I was so, her stuff just seems very simplistic. I don't know. And I recognize I have to keep reminding myself about the limited amount of time,
Yeah.
right? Like there's just
Hmm.
not enough time to execute something amazing,
Yeah.
right? I get it. But there's so many times where I look at Star stuff and I'm like, but could mostly anyone who knew how to sew do that?
I don't know. It's also
I
about
don't
like
know.
your level of interpretation and how
Can
you
spin the
know
bullshit.
how you can spin the bullshit or think about it, because again, if you're young or you're coming from a corporate world, maybe you don't think in metaphors that are that deep.
True, true. Yeah, maybe she's more literal than I'm.
Yeah.
Maybe I want her to be more abstract than she should be, or than she is. Then we hit Mario.
Thumbs down. Want
So,
want, right?
so this is how I described it, but I mean, you're much more descriptive than myself. So, a white tube top with like a pinstripe, like obi belt.
Yeah, an OB belt with
Yeah,
some
like
red
fur.
sequins.
It was like dead mob wife aesthetic.
Yeah. And then she gave the finger at the end, and Nina Garcia really didn't like it. She got mad over that.
I actually wrote she gave the finger and Nina clutches imaginary
She did.
pearls.
She clutched her imaginary
She
pearls.
was really, really she was really pissed.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's the end of the show. And I was like, there was not a lot that I loved here, but I thought it was definitely progression from last week for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So do you want to talk about the sort of the wins and the designers to take the stage? Heidi comes out and
So yeah, I didn't take a lot of notes on this because I was sort of busy thinking about what I thought sucked
okay, so I will
and
help.
what I would.
So Heidi says she calls names and she says Mario, Star, Nora, Carasan, Wendy, and Robert.
Yeah. And this is
Uh,
always, I'm always floored at like what does that mean? Like, what are they in? Are they out? What, right? Because
She
they always like,
switches it up,
yeah,
bitch.
she throws a wrench into it every time, which is
A little bitch.
fascinating, right?
Yeah. And so what it means is that she says the other designers whose names have not been called have qualified to go on to the next week.
Yep.
And so the models come out and the Inquisition begins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So first, Nina Garcia to Mario wants to know, and this is basically the question for everybody, right? Like, how does your dress or your garment represent envy? And, Michelle, this is where I have to kind of defer to you as well and say, even I didn't take notes on what Mario said, because what I wrote was this: a very long, boring story.
It was long and boring about how he was talking with a model and talking about how she slept with this guy and that guy, and they were sort of, I don't know, talking badly about each other because they're all envious of one another, and that was his interpretation.
Yeah, he just turns me off in a big way.
Yeah.
And then I love, of course, when we start, talking to our guy Robert, what does he want to talk about?
His mother's got the balls in the family.
Oh,
I love
and
that.
Dick. I love him.
Yeah.
So
Penis
he said
envy. Penis envy.
penis envy. His mom has the balls and he mimics, oh my God, Michelle. He mimicked holding them. Did you see?
Yeah, he did. You liked that, didn't you?
You could have knocked me off my fucking chair. I was like, what? What?
See, only Robert can pull that off, though. Seriously. I actually don't know why he wasn't just given a pass to go in the first place. I think maybe they needed an explanation from him.
Maybe. I mean, I think also too, he's good TV.
Maybe that's it, right? They just want to keep him there to he's good eye candy. Yeah. Yeah, you're
I
right.
mean, he says cute shit and he looks nice, and Paul likes the cut and fit of what he has.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, I think it looks super sexy. I would love to
Yeah.
wear something like that. So this is going to sound like our notes from last week. But Nina says to Wendy, "Your look seems unfinished." Shock
Mm-hmm.
horror.
Yep.
And then Wendy says that the design is supposed to be the goddess of envy.
Yep.
And then Constance says that Wendy is talking a good game, but the design is not realized.
Yep.
And then Nina says again that it's just not well executed.
Right. And I really was like, that's it. She's gonna go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of poorly executed,
Mm-hmm.
Paul to Star, tell us where the envy is. And so she says she thought, Paul said, did you think that would make it hard to sell at the auction? And I start laughing. The truth is that, of course, she didn't know that it was going to be sold at auction when she
Right.
created the concepts. None of them did. And hers would have probably been cooler had they not been to the auction and she had more time to work on the design.
I'm not really understanding though what her explanation was though. Like I didn't get it.
So what she's saying is she feels like envy behaves like a cancer, that it's like insidious and it goes through your
Oh,
whole
okay. How
it
did
goes
I
through your
miss that?
whole body. And that's why those things were supposed to be like tumors on her.
Okay. Yeah, no, she needed to
I think she needed more time.
she yeah.
I mean, again, these people are doing things in record time.
Yep.
But if other people can do it so well, I mean, it's a mark of their talent too.
Yep.
So Nina de Carasan, and then of course again, Kara's talking about her sort of envy to greed to war
Yep.
story. And then we have Nina talking to Nora, and she says that she expected more.
Mm-hmm. That was
Uh,
probably a little painful for Nora
yeah.
to hear. Yeah.
Well, and then I felt I felt really, really bad because then Constance says the dress is as simplistic as your explanation.
Yeah. I don't
And I was like, oh shit, she should come back.
Yeah,
Well, I
right?
want Constance every week.
Yeah.
Um, so they leave the runway, and basically what they talk about is the ones that they don't like. So they don't like Stars, they
They
don't
were
like
like, okay, who
Wendy's.
do we hate?
Yeah, it was so cute. Star, Wendy, Nora, and Mario.
Yeah.
So they bring everybody back, and Robert and Star are in, and I am heartbroken, Michelle, because that's my prediction right there.
Oh,
Yep, because your
Yeah.
prediction's already gone.
Yeah,
Alexandra
sorry.
already qualified, but I had a shot at
You
being
had a
right.
shot.
I thought Star was going to be eliminated, but when they said that Robert and Star are in, I was like, oh, okay, fine.
I was
And
surprised that Star was in.
I really don't get what I don't get what they see in her work. And then again, maybe that's it. Maybe there's a finishing to
Yeah.
her work that is better than the
Yeah.
person that will eventually be eliminated in a couple of minutes. Maybe that's it.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, I don't see it. And so then who is the winner of the auction? You knew this? You knew the answer to this? You like
Uh
had guessed?
yeah, that it was going to be Kara.
Really?
Yeah, because they said something in the when they were doing their thing at the store, when they were talking to Kara, they were like writing down their bid. They wrote down $405, and then that woman said, clearly I think that you're the winner. So I don't I just figured, and
Oh,
there's so many people so excited about her work, and they were talking about her work versus going over to Robert and just to be near Robert.
which is where we think you should be, Project Runway cameras. Just here,
Because
Robert. You're
honest to
so
God,
perceptive,
if you look
Michelle.
at what Jay made
I
and what
know.
Robert made, you're right about Robert's good TV. Because what the fuck did Jay make? I don't know. I mean, I would have thought he would be out.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
He made leggings and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
And he wrote on them with marker.
yeah, I can't even believe that like they would put him over Robert. So to your point, I think Robert's good TV, and he's got to
Yeah.
hold his own.
Yeah, he really does. He's infested. When people say someone's charismatic, I feel like he's infested with charisma.
Yeah,
I think and I'm sure that has got him very far in life.
yeah.
So yeah, so she is the winner. She gets immunity. I wish there was an immunity idol, but she gets an immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Nora is in, and then it's down to Wendy and Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And for a brief moment,
I had hope.
right? For a brief moment, I was like, this bitch gone. I was so excited. I was like, they're gonna fucking toss her out. Because then I said to myself, that's why they gave her the edit. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, that makes sense. That's why they talked about what a fucking bitch she is,
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
she's being so manipulative. They showed us, they made us hate her. Now they're going to get rid of her. And then they don't. It is Mario
yeah.
that is out.
And it should have been Mario. It should have
Yeah.
been him.
Yeah.
I don't know why it wasn't him the week before. I think it wasn't because they had to get rid of, sorry, who's the guy that went the week before?
Daniel. Poor Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel
We
had to go
hardly knew
because
you,
they were all
Daniel.
going to go crazy if he stayed around longer, right?
Oh, they were probably going to kill him in his sleep, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So that's why that's why Mario didn't go the first week, I think.
I think because he and Jay were having a relationship.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think Jay wants to have a relationship with Mario.
Yeah. Yeah, he likes him.
I think he's crushing super hard on Mario. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was, I was bummed because I would have loved to have seen Wendy get her comeuppance for kind of,
Uh-huh.
I always love karma to be a right away kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But I guess it's gonna have to be a long con on this one.
yeah.
But Mario's exit interview was much, I mean, I felt like Daniel's was so gross. They can only get less gross. Because remember, he was like, if you want sincerity and someone to kiss your ass, then I'm Daniel Cardenas and I wish you bliss.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Well, so but then Tim Gunn, like he's Mario sort of talking to people, and Tim Gunn just comes in very straight backed, very
yeah,
matter of fact. You have to leave now. I have to ask you, you have to go now. Just go clean
yeah.
up your stuff.
Well, because that's the thing. It's supposed to be a thing where like you just leave. And I think because so many people liked Mario,
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel did not have the same.
Right. They were just like wiping sweat off their brows that he was going. And Mario,
Right.
they kind of wanted to talk to and say sorry, and
Yeah, they
even though
liked
you
him.
suck, I'm sorry. Right.
Like I don't think anybody of them can believe that Star is not gone either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's part of it too, is that no one ever thought it would be Mario.
Well, and Star comes out like when she makes it, right? And she comes out into the back and she's like, I made it. And everybody just looks at her. Like
No
there's
one
none of
and no
this.
one can understand.
Yeah. Yeah. There's none of this like clapping and hugging.
Well, because then they realize that it's going to be someone that they care about. that has to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. It's uncomfortable when Tim comes in. He's like, "You're going to have to go."
Yeah.
And
And then
then
Mario's like, and I don't owe any explanation. Yeah, that sort of thing. Just, that's not a good enough shtick to get you through.
his interview was just basically like it was an amazing experience. It was a test of strength, and I'll take that with me, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Good.
Jay cries, and I actually wrote next to it, crushy. Jay
Crushing.
cries.
Right.
He has a crushy.
Oh
Um,
dear.
and so, yeah, I mean, I can't quite believe it, but it brings us to the end of episode 2,
Yeah.
and directly to the categories, my friend.
Okay.
So,
What are
what
the
was your favorite moment with Tim Gunn? What is Top Gun for you for this episode?
I liked when he came in and just swanned about and told them to like remove their things from the mannequins. Like, and he just comes in with like he's just very straight backed, and he's like, it's time to go. Everybody, remove your clothes from the man. And I was like, oh, okay, that's like amazing. Like and they're all like sweating.
Tim is so commanding. I love, yeah,
He
I just loved
is.
him. My favorite Tim Gunn moment from the episode is the one that we just talked about, which is when he comes in and escorts
Yeah.
Mario out.
Uh-huh.
I love when he does the hard stuff. Like, they
Mhm.
sent him in to do all the hard stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, think of it this way: like, it isn't Nita Garcia or Heidi who says anything, or Michael Kors to Morgan. It's Tim Gunn who's like, "This is bad,"
Yeah. Well,
right?
he's an administrator, obviously, right?
Yeah. And he'll have the hard conversations. Like, I
Mhm.
love that he'll come over and he'll be like, "So I think you're going to have to choose between this being leopard print and also plaid. I think you're going to have to choose."
Choose the
Uh,
leopard every time. Come on.
right? And I would choose the plaid. That's what
You
makes us
would.
friends, Michelle.
Is that where we differ?
That's how we differ. That is how we differ. So fashion favorites. What was your favorite thing on the runway for this episode?
I did love the Venus dress. I thought that was beautiful. But I was sort of torn between that and the Kara's military thing. Um,
Oh, sorry, I accidentally muted myself. So which one of those would you wear?
um,
Pretend your body doesn't matter. You've got the perfect body. It doesn't matter. Just pretend.
the Venus thing. I mean, I could see that being like very wearable, but of course,
Yeah.
so much fashion is not wearable.
Oh yeah. Like, you'd want
Yeah,
to own them both, right?
yeah.
So I would say, if I had to say the one thing that I thought of from the whole episode was my favorite thing, would have been Austin's kimono.
Hmm.
But I loved that. But my favorite thing on the runway was also the Venus dress. I thought that was just so pretty, and it
Hmm.
really kind of opened my eyes to Alexandra as a designer,
Hmm.
because previously, to your point, she was responsible for the brown socks.
Yeah,
She could pick anything she wanted in the supermarket, and she picked
Browns.
brown socks
Yeah,
and pantyhose.
yeah,
So I was underwhelmed, but I thought this was really, really, really good.
yeah.
Um, cool. So our next category, and this is, I can tell, is going to be one of my favorites, because I'm a big fan of like a "where are they now" kind of thing.
Hmm.
So whatever happened to Baby Jane? Where is the person now? So what happened to our friend Mario Cadenas? So he finishes
Okay.
in 11th place, right? So
Uh-huh.
he is still designing apparel. So,
Stop.
yes. So according to their website, they're now based in Helsinki, Finland,
Okay.
where their work focuses on sustainable practices in the fashion industry. Mario has had an interest in the interchangeable and adaptable aspects of fashion. A central component of his work is the defiance of gender norms, and he now works as a stylist and designer for the sustainable reform line. Form, FORM, is capitalized, and the unisex line, Han, HAN, capitalized with an umlaut over the A.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Does
So
any
he
of his
lives.
stuff look cool?
Um, I'll show you. I don't know if you're gonna love it. I don't think it's cute. I feel like, honestly, his work and his look himself is not really like, this is what he looks like now.
Oh,
So
that's
it's just,
good.
yeah, it's very, I don't know how I describe it. Oh my gosh, maybe because he also does a little side work as a model.
So does he dye his hair or is he gray?
I think he dyes his hair.
Okay. So he's obviously in black and white so that you can't tell how dirty his skin is.
Yeah, yeah. So you can't tell how dirty if he's washed himself recently. But you can see here a picture of him, and he still kind of looks a little bit slightly oily. But
Oh yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's cute. It says here that he does a little bit of modeling as well.
Okay.
So that's groovy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay. And so then one last thing, Michelle. So
yeah.
it's time. We didn't do very well on our predictions on who was going to be asked to leave on this episode. You guessed Alexandra, and I guessed Star. And I guessed Star twice, and that didn't work. So for next week, or for next week's episode, basically, who's leaving? Who do you think is going to go?
Okay. I think Kevin.
Oh, Chester the Child Molester. Gotcha. Kevin.
Because
Okay.
I think Wendy is good drama, and I think Star, I think maybe they see something that they want to flush out in her, or maybe they like to see her sweat. I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, now that you've coined the Baby Cries-a-Lot,
Baby
hopefully
Chris.
she doesn't go, because that's a great nickname. I agree.
Did
I
you
think
have a
Kevin's
Baby
awful.
Alive when you were a kid? Do you remember those
No,
dolls, Baby Alive?
yes. So I never liked baby dolls. I was not a baby doll person.
Uh-huh.
I
I
just didn't
had
do
like
those.
one and I didn't understand the point.
I don't recall ever asking for one.
Yeah.
I don't, they just weren't like, I used to love, I mean, I loved Barbies
Oh,
when I
oh
was a
God,
kid,
so many Barbies.
but I did not, yeah, I was not a huge baby doll person. I think it's because I had a younger brother.
Oh, maybe.
I had a real
Maybe.
one.
Yeah.
I had a real one. And
So
he did.
sorry, I cut you off on your prediction. Okay.
No, that's okay. He really, yeah, baby alive, Michael. So my prediction is not a prediction, because I'm just going to keep sticking to it, because I firmly believe that it is a error that she is still here, which is Star.
Yeah,
I am
really.
campaigning for the guy who's selling stuff out of his trunk. I'm going to find out who he is and where he is now.
Yeah, where how come he didn't get on the
The
show?
fuck is that guy? Because he's talented.
Yeah. He's got
He's
chutzpah
talented.
anyway.
He really does. He really does. But yeah, so that brings us to the end of the episode. This was a fun one.
Yeah, it was fun. It
I'm
was
I'm
fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes as it gets easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And sorry, this is my dog is maybe the male's here.
Pepper has to say hi. At least Casey Jones hasn't. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
No, your dog's very quiet on your end today.
Oh, it's because he's outside. He's not even in the room.
Oh.
That's why. Yeah.
So yeah, it is yeah, I found this episode in the first episode hard because I was trying to sort of like figure out who's who and then analyze them, and then by the time they get to like the splitting up who's staying and going, I'm just like, oh, like I'm just, I'm a little bit worn out. So and I'm slow on these, and it takes me like I have to watch them a few times. I don't know how quickly you go through them, but you know I'm
I
slow.
usually only watch it once on the way through, but I watch it on an iPad. So I'm like stopping and rewinding sometimes.
Hmm.
But then I try to watch it again the night before or the morning of when we are going to record, so it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think we just keep focusing on like Robert. Like we're
Hmm.
like the people that we know, right? Like we never talk about Alexandra, like we talk about Robert, we talk about Jay, and it's because those are the people that are the great TV, right? That's who
Yeah.
Bravo has presented to us
Yeah.
in these confessionals. And I mean, Jay has got his hair in a million little, like, those were they Buntu braids, and he's wearing a like a
Uh-huh.
faux fur wrap. I mean, we're meant to connect with him. We're meant to
Yeah.
laugh with
And
him. And
Robert had the
cornrows. Yeah, he looked
cornrows. I love
great.
that.
Oh my God. Well, that's, it's the confidence in our man,
Yeah.
Robert. But yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
For anybody who is not enjoying Michelle and I sexually harassing someone from 20 years ago, we apologize. But
I don't apologize.
No, we don't. We don't.
Really don't. I don't care.
We don't. The truth is that it's hard, to your point, to focus on a lot of people. So it's easy to focus on like the people who are presented to us as the best television.
Yeah.
With people who have the funny one-liners.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's what we love.
I think it is amazing the work that they do. I always liked these reality TV shows that where there's like a competition and a point to it.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to like, you know, the real world, everybody's just living together. I don't know what they're doing, having sex with each other. I don't know.
I really like an elimination show for us to do now too, because I think it's every time there's like I mean, listen, I love a good Real Housewives show, but this is fun because it does have that extra element of anxiety around who's going to get eliminated. So it's fun to watch because you know there's a point to every single show. I mean, I hate to say it, spoiler alert for anybody who's listening in current time and who's a Real Housewives of Potomac fan, but like some shows go through seasons where they're just snoozes, like that one.
That is such a snooze fest.
Where you don't even care. Like it doesn't matter if you watch it or if you don't watch it. Right. It's irrelevant. But I think with a show like this, you really do want to catch every episode because people are getting eliminated. And every week it's a different dynamic. Yes. Right. With one less person, you're dealing with the loss of that person. And now the dynamic that people are, I mean, I hate to say it, but people are like just reforming teams, right, over and over each week. And sometimes with success and sometimes with no success. So I think that's half the fun part. So this has been groovy. Anything else you want to share about the episode before we boogie down productions?
No, I think we're good. I'm looking forward to see what happens to Star. I'd love to see her sweat, so I hope she doesn't go. But
I'm all set with Baby Cries-a-Lot. And and you know, for those of you that are following along, we'd love to hear who you're rooting to get rid of. Hopefully it's also Star with 2 R's. But we thank you guys so much for listening. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would take a second to subscribe, give us a follow and a like on whatever platform you're listening to, and drop us a review in Apple Podcast. It would be super helpful. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll catch you in the next episode. Stay cringy, guys.